And I remember as a child feeling, wow, there's no safety in my house, and look, there's no safety in the world. And all of that came right up when he, first of all, when he announced, I was like laughing. He was on that little escalator down with the fake crowd going, like, here's my wife who loves me. And she's like, how do I get out of here? Right? There was a Tara O'Connor, I believe her name was, a young Irish lass who was Junior Miss Trump Atlantic City pageant sexist winner.
What happens when a comedian with nothing to lose takes on two men who've never earned anything on their own? Pure comedic destruction. Rosie O'Donnell just dragged Eric and Don Jr. so hard that even Fox News couldn't spin it into good press. Remember when Trump called Rosie a pig years ago? Well, the payback is here, and it's targeting his most sensitive spot, his son's fragile egos. From comparing Eric to an ellipsis to calling out Junior's desperate attempts to stay relevant, Rosie didn't just cross the line, she erased it completely. Want to know what got Trump so worked up he's reportedly throwing ketchup at the walls again? I'll break down every savage joke and why they hit so close to home. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Did you know Rosie O'Donnell has been feuding with the Trumps for almost 20 years? That's longer than most of Trump's businesses stayed alive. I mean, his casinos went bankrupt faster than you can say you're fired. But this latest chapter in their ongoing battle has taken things to a whole new level.
I just thought it would never happen.
Same here.
So
I've been wrong at every turn.
I said to my therapist, I got this new show, Smilf, but I have to go to Boston to start shooting.
If Trump gets indicted, it would be really great if Mueller let you serve the papers.
Well,
I feel like I've been wrong.
He was on that little escalator down with the fake crowd going, like, here's my wife who loves me. And she's like, how do I get out of here? Right?
Donald Trump has been mad at you for a very long time.
Over a decade.
Over a decade.
Yes.
And did it sort of start? It started from The View, yes?
The View.
Yeah.
When Rosie recently took aim at the Trump brothers, she didn't just throw random insults their way. Her takedown was like watching a master surgeon at work, precise, calculated, and absolutely devastating. She didn't need to yell or make wild accusations. Instead, she used her comedic talents to dissect their public personas with laser-like accuracy, leaving nothing but uncomfortable truths exposed for everyone to see. The reaction was immediate. Trump supporters scrambled to defend Eric and Don Jr., but their usual playbook of deflection and outrage fell flat this time. Even Fox News, yes, Fox News, couldn't find a way to spin Rosie's jokes into anything positive for the Trump camp. When the network most friendly to your family can't figure out how to make you look good after a comedy roast, you know you've been thoroughly owned. One of Rosie's most brilliant takedowns targeted Eric Trump, who she compared to an ellipsis. Those three dots that don't really add anything to a sentence, but somehow still exist. Ouch! This wasn't just a random insult. It was a perfectly crafted dig at his perceived irrelevance in both the family business and political arena. Eric has spent years trying to establish himself as more than just the other Trump son.
And she's the prostitute. And who is he? He's the moral arbiter of 20-year-old behavior now, right? So then I said, some facts that I just went on Wiki. I have put in that request by tweet.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to hear, but nothing really will. And I remember as a child feeling, wow, there's no safety in my house, and look, there's no safety in the world. And all of that came right up when he, first of all, when he announced, I was like laughing.
It's been really, we've sort of made the joke on the show that he's flip-flopped on everything except you.
It's actually very true.
But Rosie's joke reduced him to exactly what many suspect, a placeholder with no real function. Don Jr. didn't escape Rosie's comedic wrath either. She described his desperate attempts to stay relevant as featuring the same tired rants, delivered with the energy of someone who realizes the party ended hours ago but refuses to go home. This hit particularly hard because it tapped into something many observers have noticed. Jr. seems perpetually stuck in campaign mode, recycling the same talking points long after they've lost their punch. Like that guy at the bar, still telling the same stories nobody found funny the first time. What makes these jokes land so hard is that they expose what many people already think, but maybe haven't articulated so perfectly. These guys contribute nothing beyond their last name. They didn't build the Trump empire. They were born into it. They didn't earn their positions through merit or talent. They got them because daddy gave them jobs. Rosie just put into words what millions of Americans see whenever the Trump brothers appear on TV. Remember when Donald Trump called Rosie a pig years ago during one of his many public tantrums? Well, it turns out pigs have excellent memories and know exactly when to strike back. All those years of insults from Trump gave Rosie plenty of time to perfect her comebacks, and now she's dishing it right back at his family with interest. So, what exactly makes Rosie's comedy attacks so effective against the Trump family?
I have to say, as a 55-year-old woman who lived through Vietnam, when I was in 1973, my mom died, and 2 months later, they started the Watergate hearings that were easily accessible since this campaign began, that he is bankrupt 4 times, that he got all his money from his father. And he said, just want you to know, I've forgiven her. And this young woman, I'm like, what is he, the pimp? There was a Tara O'Connor, I believe her name was, a young Irish lass who was Junior Miss Trump Atlantic City pageant sexist winner.
Why do they seem to hit harder than the countless political critiques and news analyses? The secret lies in how precisely she targets their biggest insecurities. For the Trump sons, nothing cuts deeper than jokes about their lack of independent achievement. While they present themselves as self-made businessmen, Rosie's comedy exposes the uncomfortable reality. They've never earned anything on their own merit. The effectiveness of these jokes isn't just about making people laugh, it's about the truths they reveal. When you strip away the Trump name, what exactly are Eric and Don Jr. left with? What have they accomplished that wasn't handed to them? Rosie's comedy works because it asks these questions in ways that are both funny and uncomfortably accurate. Even longtime Trump loyalist Lindsey Graham seems worried about how Trump responds to these kinds of attacks. Graham recently warned that Trump's actions as a provocateur could cost him the election, stating, President Trump can win this election. His policies are good for America, and if you have a policy debate for president, he wins. But Donald Trump, the private citizen, the provocateur, the showman, may not win this election. When your own allies are telling you to cool it with the provocative behavior, maybe it's time to listen. And that's why comedy is such a powerful truth serum in politics today. In an era where we're drowning in alternative facts and fancy spin, Rosie's brutal jokes cut through the noise like nothing else could. Comedy has always been the kryptonite of the powerful. It exposes what serious analysis often can't. When Daddy Trump erupts over these jokes, it only confirms their accuracy. The beauty of comedy is that it doesn't need to be polite about uncomfortable truths. So next time Grumpy Trumpy complains about being targeted, maybe he should remember the golden rule of playground bullies. If you dish it out for decades, expect it back tenfold.